Hey, what's up guys? John here. The June jobs numbers just came out and it's absolutely unbelievable because people read headlines like this. Biden hails June jobs report as Bidenomics in action. They'll read these headlines and they'll say, hey, we might have a soft landing. Everything might be okay. And maybe, but probably not, because the more we pull back this curtain, the more we see a whole new America that's being built out behind the scenes that nobody is talking about except for me. I'm going to share with you this information and I'm going to use verifiable sources that you can take to the bank so you can see what's actually happening. Because if you're an investor, a business owner, you live in America, you want to make smart decisions, you got to have the real information to make those smart decisions. I'm going to provide it for you in this video and more. So please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's actually happening in the economy. And today's video is sponsored by my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If your credit needs help, we would love to help you. Give you a free strategy session at GreatCreditFast.com. Take a look at this. Biden hails June jobs report as Bidenomics in action. We are seeing stable and steady growth. The Bidenomics growing the economy by creating jobs, lowering costs for hardworking families, and making smart investments in America, Biden said in a statement. Now, that sounds pretty good, right? It sounds pretty good. Let's see if that's actually what's happening. So healthcare and social assistance grew 65,200 jobs. Government, 60,000 jobs. What's pretty crazy is that government grew at essentially triple the rate of the entire construction industry, or construction, leisure and hospitality, and professional business services combined. That's incredible. So government's getting big, and they're going to only get bigger. And so you have to ask yourself, when we're in this uncertain environment, there's an affordability crisis with record high inflation. People really need job security. Are they going to go to a small business for job security? Probably not. They're going to start going to government jobs where they're going to get paid time off, paid sick leave, paid vacation. They're going to get raises every year. They're going to get a retirement and health care plan. Their family's going to be set up with this health care family plan. They're going to get all these different benefits that a small business simply can't afford, right? That's what's going to start to happen as they start to really grow social services to a level on which we've never seen before. There's a company out there called BH Properties where they're buying $1 billion worth of properties throughout the Sun Belt. And they're doing this because they're going to be, going after government grants and tax incentives for affordable housing because they know that's where the big market is. And that's what's going to start to happen. Because look at this. This is a government website. This is budget.house.gov. Fiscal State of the Union, Biden's real wage decline. Look at what's actually happening. Inflation continues to decimate American standard of living. Real wages, the amount of people are paid when adjusted for inflation, are falling as well. Since Biden took office in January 2021, the increase in prices due to inflation over 14%, resulting in a loss of real wages of nearly 4%. Average hourly wages have only risen by 10% as of January 2023. This graph shows the decline in real wages since January 2021. The loss in real wages is not limited to one segment of the economy either. The decline is seen in virtually every major sector, resulting in nearly all Americans working more hours for less pay. Americans are struggling to keep up, and the Biden administration's relentless spending has only made them fall farther behind. Last week, the personal consumption expenditures, the Fed preferred measure of inflation, came in much higher than expected, showing that the 40-year record inflation, which has gone in the last 15 months, is showing a few signs of slowing down. This has resulted in the Americans paying over $700 a month to purchase the same goods and services they did when Biden took office. This, coupled with decline in wages, is having a crippling effect on the American family and the economy. Without a reversal in policy, that would lead to a slowdown in inflation and an increase in wage growth. Recovery to pre-pandemic standard of living is nearly impossible, leaving countless Americans behind. Now, that's what's actually happening according to budget.house.gov, right? That's what they're saying. Now, many people would agree with them that inflation is getting out of control, the cost of living is getting out of control, and many people are, living a harder life today than they were 3 years ago. But let's look at what's happening in terms of small business and how this is because America is essentially small business. Most people work for small businesses currently. They support lower scale companies. They're not these large corporations. They're 50, 100 employees, 500 employees, 10 employees. That's where a lot of Americans get labor, right? Nearly all jobs above pre-pandemic levels have gone to foreign-born workers. June was the first month native-born workers reached pre-pandemic levels. The weight, the BLS of these categories is likely off, which explains some of the discrepancies in the job numbers. Well, OpenAI used Kenyan workers for less than $2 an hour to make ChatGPT less toxic. Think about that. If you're a small business owner and you have 10 employees, each employee is probably costing you $20. right? Probably $20 or close to $20. You could get 10 employees in Kenya for $20, right? This is what's going to start to happen. We're going to start to see more and more and more job outsourcing simply because Americans are going to continue to have less discretionary income. And so less money is going to flow into small business. A lot of people are going to start to price, they're going to start to really price shop. Everything's going to be Amazon, Walmart, Target, even more in the future because it's going to be hard for small businesses to compete with that. And so small businesses are going to have very, very little options but to start outsourcing talent as well. Start to integrate artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and these other resources into their business to be able to make them competitive and to be able to reduce their overall expenses. An employee asked to go remote. Her CEO said he outsourced her job to India instead and saved 40% on labor costs. Remote work could be the reason why you lose your job. Higher salaries face the greatest risk, but not if you're working at a government job, right? This is all, they're even proposing an 8.7% average pay raise next year. Then they brought it to 5%, 5.2%, but this is what's going to start to happen. But as that's happening, we have to ask ourselves, what's going on in the real estate market? How does this all kind of connect? Because the last couple of years have been really incredible. It's really been, something to witness. A lot of people relocating from expensive locations, LA, San Francisco, Boston, Philly, New York City, and they were going to South Florida and Texas and other areas with lower income taxes and a favorable lifestyle. So a lot of people are just uprooting their whole entire family and everything that they knew to relocate. And they locked in these very, very low interest rates, 2%, 3%, 4% interest rates. People were excited about the cheap housing costs and all the benefits that they got for relocating. But there's something that's really unique that's happening behind the scenes there, because now mortgage rates for the average credit score in America, which is 698, 8% basically, 8.156%. Some people will say in the comments, no, you can get it for 7.9%, John, or 8%. Sure, maybe you could find a loan officer that might do it for that. But these are the quotes. It's around this range. If you have a credit score that's slightly above the average credit score, it's 8.139%. Pretty expensive to borrow money. But how does this relate to the housing market and the jobs numbers? And like this, the average length of home ownership is staying in a home is 8 years, right? The average person stays in their home for 8 years. But let's look at what's going on. They moved into these properties 2-3 years ago. 40% of all mortgages in America were taken out between 2020 and 2021. We're going to start to see real wages start to compress even more. So many people are getting these mortgages based on a pay bump. They were making more money, they were relocating, and now a lot of people are losing their jobs, or they're losing money in terms of having a reduction in salary. But as that's happening, insurance and property taxes are going up. So what is likely going to happen? The qualifications that they had when they first bought this property, maybe they had a 30% debt to income ratio, maybe they're making $10,000 a month, they got qualified for a $3,300 mortgage. It made sense, they could afford it. But what happens when that $10,000 a month salary, they lose that job, and then they're going to have to go around and try to compete, try to find another job. Maybe they find one for $8,000, maybe they find one for $9,000 or $7,000. Whatever it may be, it changes the dynamic of their affordability of that property. And as insurance and taxes go up, it's going to be an issue. A lot of people are going to say, you know what? It doesn't really make sense to own this property. It would make more sense to rent. And so what is going to happen? Right now, there's very, very little inventory on the market, but I believe it's only going to happen for a very short period of time. Soon, many people aren't going to be able to hold on. That's what I believe is going to happen. I believe many people are not going to be able to hold on, and we're going to see more and more and more jobs and talent and opportunities flood overseas in the coming couple of years. Look at the difference of buying a property. Let's just call it $500,000 for easy math. 3% mortgage rate, $2,648 a month. Let's call in the gardener, some repairs, maybe $3,000 a month, $3,200 a month, somewhere in that range for $500,000 on a property. Now, with today's mortgage rates of about 8 to 8.3%, we'll go low end, say 8%, $4,000 a month. When you factor in for gardener, when you factor in for repairs, maybe $4,300 to $4,500 a month, right? So you would need to find a buyer that's making $12,000 a month in this economy that wants to, buy a property and spend $4,000 a month to live there. The pool of buyers is going to continue to shrink. But as that happens, if there's more supply of available homes and there are less available buyers, what's going to happen? Prices are going to start to come down, right? That's how this is all going to play out. It costs you $1,405 more per month just to have that property. But Ken Griffin, for example, he made $4.1 billion, one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid hedge funds managers in the world. He said, he's investing now heavily in China, and they're going more into private credit. They want to lend money to businesses. Makes sense. A lot of businesses are going to need money. There's a lot of good businesses out there. It's not just them. You know, you have Blackstone, you have a lot of large private equity firms that are wanting to lend and extend capital to these companies. But he's saying that in America, you know, he's bracing for a recession. He's bracing for a recession. You look at what Warren Buffett's doing. He's investing heavily in Japan, in their stock market. The same exact thing. They're diversifying their risk in America. And as that's happening, the Fed says that we're not out of the woods yet. We're not out of the woods. I believe what they're going to continue to do is increase interest rates in the short term. They're going to keep them elevated for longer than expected. And as that happens, it's just going to get much, much more expensive to service auto loan debt, credit card debt, and many people aren't going to be able to hold on. But smart and savvy investors are looking at the writing on the wall. They're saying, hey, I understand all this is happening. I'm aware, I'm prepared. And a lot of people are sitting on a lot of cash. A lot of people are living below their means. A lot of people are, really tackling consumer debt. If they have high interest credit card debt, they're trying to do balance transfers because there's still credit card companies out there that will allow you to transfer high interest credit card debt to them for 0% interest. You just have to have a credit score usually in the 700 range, 700, 720, 730 range. You have to be able to make sure you get approved for those cards if you have high interest consumer debt. Because if you're paying somebody else 27, 28% to get out of credit card debt, you're never going to get out of it. You have to transfer that to 0%. If people that are really paying attention to what's happening are going to see the writing on the wall, there's going to be a flood of inventory that's going to hit, and not many people are going to be able to go out there and be qualified that are going to have that they're going to check the boxes to actually be able to get funding. The smart and savvy investors they're looking at this, they're realizing that this isn't going to be the situation where we just have this soft landing. We're witnessing a whole new America. This whole new America is happening before our eyes, and soon the curtain will be unveiled for everyone to see. What do you think about it? Drop below, hit the like button, subscribe here, add me on IG. If you need help fixing credit, we'd love to help you. Catch you in the next one.